It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Roth conversion. Wait a minute. Let me. Roth conversion. Okay, backdoor Roth. The reason I do that is because everybody, when you hear Roth conversions, why do we even have to have Roth conversions? And then I'll get into my gangster voice again.
Yeah, because we talk about all the time how exciting it is to be able to do Roth contributions. And we loud them and we talk about just how wonderful they are. And then we always throw this caveat, but if you make over a certain amount of money, if your income is over a certain level, you don't get to play with the Roth game anymore. You don't get to participate anymore. And that's the way that the IRS law is written.
Well, you know why? You know why? Roth IRAs, guys, in the food chain of where you could have money, it is the apex predator of investing.
Y'all both knew it was coming, right?
Yeah, you know it's coming because I really do. If you think about food chain, tax-free growth. There's a reason the government doesn't, talking about speakeasy, the government is so scared about you getting tax-free growth. They're like, you know what? We got to shut this down once these people make a certain amount of money because this needs to be only for the people who make less than currently $193,000 to $203,000 for married couples or $122,000 to $137,000. We don't want anybody making more than that getting into this tax-free growth game.
So here's what the government used to say. They said, okay, if you're someone who has a bunch of 401k or IRA assets, we'll let you take some of those pre-tax 401ks and some of those pre-tax IRAs. We'll let you turn them into Roth. But two things are going to happen. One, you're going to have to pay tax on it. And two, pre-2010, if you made over $100,000 a year, you couldn't even do that. They wouldn't even let you convert any of your dollars to Roth. But in 2010, the game changed a little bit.
They did. And that's where I'm just going to say, some people call these backdoor Roth contributions. Yeah, I'm here for that special deal where I can turn this IRA into a Roth. I mean, it's supposed to be, it sounds shady. Doesn't it sound when you hear backdoor Roth contribution? It sounds like you definitely can't do this in light of day. It sounds like you got to go around a corner, crawl down some dark stairway, and then you knock on that door and, the guy slides the door open and then he lets you in if you have the right password. It's not truly that way. I hate the word backdoor Roth contributions because I think it takes away what these things actually are. This is a Roth conversion strategy. Yep. There's two transactions that are actually occurring as part of this. And this is the key thing for you to understand. You are making contributions. Mm-hmm. This is me explaining the Roth conversion strategy. You can make contributions to an after-tax traditional IRA. Mm-hmm. When I say after-tax contribution, it means you're not getting a tax deduction. Right. You're just telling the government, hey, I'm going to go fund this traditional IRA. There's no income limit on funding traditional IRAs, but because after 2010, y'all took away the income limit, I'm now going to convert. I'm going to take that traditional IRA and then I'm going to convert it, because you told me I could, into a Roth IRA. And guess what? The government says, all right, that sounds reasonable, because we told you as long as you, there's no income limit and you funded it, there's no tax gains, because the only gains that could be on this conversion is when you funded that traditional IRA, what's it now worth when you're converting it to a Roth? If there is any difference, meaning gain, yeah, you'll have to pay taxes on that. Right. But all this is after-tax basis. So if you fund it and then a few days later or a few months, do a conversion, if there's been no change in value, there is zero tax consequences.
So, Brian, this just sounds too good to be true. There has to be a catch, right? And by the way, our comments right now are blowing up with people saying, I did this. I got in trouble. I screwed this up. I messed this up. I didn't measure twice. I didn't listen to the disclaimer. I had a mistake. Is there a catch, or is it really that easy, that good?
There is a catch. And this is the part. Remember, guys, this is why this is saving strategies for the rich. We know that this is why we put the disclaimer at the front. Is because I'll go ahead and tell you, I have probably in my career, Bo, you've seen me write, I've probably written at least 20 letters to the IRS explaining Roth conversion strategies.
At least 20.
Our favorite taxing uncle gets so confused by Roth conversions. Truthfully, it's not because you've done it. If you get a letter, if you do a Roth conversion, you get a letter, assuming you've done it correctly. Let me put that's a big assumption. But assuming you've done it right, and I'm going to give you the caveats on why you have to pay attention to this stuff and the disclaimers of what the catches are. Usually, the IRS, they send so many letters out to people. We had a client recently said, when I get notices, I just pay the government.
I just write a check. It scares me to death.
No, you want to take my breath away? Tell me you just pay a tax notice without actually doing research, because the majority of tax notices I've ever dealt with doing tax returns preparing tax returns for 16 years was truthfully clerical or misunderstandings with the IRS.
Right.
They needed additional clarification, additional documentation, and then usually you got out of it. The return as originally filed was accepted.
I'd say of the 20 letters you've written, I would say 18 of them were no actions. 18, everything was done correctly.
Well, I don't think I've ever had a Roth conversion that resulted in more taxes.
I can think of one only because there was a piece of information the client didn't let us know about.
And that is a great segue into what the catch is. You cannot do a Roth conversion strategy if you have any other IRA assets, including SEP IRAs, simple IRAs, or rollover IRAs.
That's exactly right.
Now, in your name, now realize you and your spouse are two separate entities. So it's looking only at your tax ID number. But if you have a rollover IRA, SEP IRA, simple IRA, but there is one big exception. What is it?
Inherited IRAs. If you're someone who actually inherited an IRA, whether it's Roth or traditional, those are excluded from this calculation. So if mom, dad, grandma, grandpa left an IRA, you're the beneficiary and it's inherited, it does not muddy the Roth conversion waters. But every other kind of IRA, just like you said, SEP, simple, traditional, rollover, those come into the calculation.
If any of them are pre-tax, meaning that they don't have basis in them because you took a deduction when you funded them, the government wants you then to prorate that conversion over all of those IRA assets.
Right.
That's why it gets blown up if you do have any other IRA assets. So a lot of you go, oh man, I knew there was a catch. He told me we were going to be able to do it. Let me tell you, there's some planning opportunities. Remember, when you hang out with the Money Guy family, we teach you some stuff so that you can hopefully take advantage. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this stuff, check out with us to go into taking the relationship next level. We will double measure these things for you.
Yep.
But here's the planning opportunities. A lot of people don't realize if you have IRA assets, that's simple, that's SEP, that rollover, there is potential. If you're working for a new employer that has an ERISA plan, like a 401k, a 403b,
yep,
you can do what's called a trustee-to-trustee transfer, where you transfer the money from your IRA into that ERISA plan 401k. Well, guess what? That's a different part of the tax code. Mm-hmm. That's not IRA assets anymore. Since they're not IRA assets anymore, once you clear all those accounts out, happy days are here, and we can actually start talking about this Roth conversion strategy.
But we got to step in. The investment guy has to step in right here. That may make sense for you, or it may not. We know that not all employer-sponsored retirement plans are created equal. Yeah. Some of them only have a few options. They're really expensive, kind of crummy.
Have annuities built into them.
You may not want to lock up the majority of your assets in that employer-sponsored retirement plan just to open up this small tax opportunity, because here at the Money Guy Show, we always say, don't let the tax tail wag the investment dog. Make sure you understand, if you're going to employ the strategy, that it really is the thing that makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, we have to look at, I'll tell you, anytime we take on a new client that we're considering this, we look at the spouses separately, and then we look at the quality of their retirement plan. Because there are times where the retirement plan just is so bad that we're like, it doesn't make sense. So what we do in those situations, if you're in a really bad retirement plan, like a 401k, a 403b with really expensive options, not a lot of diversification, you could still fund the traditional IRA every year. Make your annual funding limit contribution to the traditional IRA. Let those accounts build up. Yes, there's going to be some taxes when you convert because they're hopefully making money, but it will be great if you ever change jobs or go to a job with a much lower cost plan. You will have a huge windfall that you can then convert into a Roth account in the future. It's pretty awesome.
Maybe even the year before you retire, you get kind of creative on when you roll those assets over. Yep. I'm just going to throw that little piece out there. So we get it. This one is heady, and frankly, this one's really easy to screw up. So we thought, okay, how can we distill this down into a flow chart? Because whenever things are like really hard for me, I like to think in terms of like flow charts, right? So this is what we came up with. All right, can I do a Roth conversion? So ask yourself a few questions. Question number one, are you over the income limit? I think for married couples in 2019, it's like 196 to 206,000. Is that the number?
I got it right. Well, I pulled this. Oh, Bo, I had it on here. I thought it was 192 to, yeah, it is 193 to 203 and 122 to 137.
Okay, great. So if you're married, it's the first two numbers. If you're single, it's the last two numbers. Are you over the income limit? If the answer is no, you don't need to do Roth conversions. You can just contribute to a Roth straight up. We've done tons of shows on how you decide, do you do Roth or do you do pre-tax? If the answer is yes, the next question you have to ask yourself is, do you have any other IRA assets that are not Roth or are not inherited IRA assets?
That's true.
If the answer is yes, this strategy will not work for you as your assets are currently structured, but there may be some planning opportunities if you have a 401k, 403b, that sort of thing. If the answer is no, you can, this is not prescriptive, but you can contribute to a non-deductible traditional IRA, and since those are after-tax dollars, you have the ability to convert those into Roth dollars. That is your Money Guy Roth conversion flowchart.
And then we should have the disclaimer come up again, because remember, our favorite taxing uncle, he watches this stuff. So you better make sure you get it right, because there's potential. You probably do increase your risk of getting a tax notice when you do these type of strategies. But if you know you're on solid ground, you know you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, it is a great, tremendous planning opportunity that we employ a lot. I mean, we've done it. I mean, it's a very powerful strategy, and I think it's something to at least consider looking at. If you don't feel comfortable, like I said, you can always take the relationship to the next level and considering bringing in a professional.